Welcome back, guys. I'm Zell, and today we're looking at the Ganzo G7451 CF. Alright, let's get a look around our Ganzo G7451 CF. First thing we can see is this is Ganzo's homage to probably one of the HK slash Benchmade knives. I don't remember exactly which one, but I see a resemblance in the handles. And besides that, we have a lanyard hole. We've got tip up left or right with a pocket clip. And we have our axis lock, I suppose we can call it. And as we roll it on around, we can see our nicely cut pillars. Ganzo always does a really good job with that. They cut those pillars really nice. We have a little jimping up here. Now it's your standard Ganzo jimping. It's not anything that's really going to grab your hand, but it is somewhat effective and nice to have. And rolling around to the other side, we can see that the lamination of the carbon fiber on this one did not go super smooth. Not quite perfect, but remember, guys, we're spending 17 bucks here. We're going to show it, we're going to fuss about it, but we're not going to be mad. And there's our Benchmade style pocket clip and our lanyard hole again. As we roll it around at the top, unlike the 739, this one is centered pretty darn well. Very well. So nice job there. We probably ought to check on the inside a little bit. And I don't know if you can see in there well enough. May need to get it down here. But there's no milling out on the inside, just like the 739. So we'd like to see that, Ganzo. We'd like to see just a little bit of milling in there, because that's an awful lot of steel in those liners that we don't really need. And there's our blade. As always with a Ganzo, it's 440C. This one in a satin finish. And, you know, it's reminiscent of that HK knife. We've got a swedge up here, kind of a reverse Tonto, drop point, I don't know what you want to call it, you pick. But we have a nice edge with a fair amount of belly and some good flat down here. Now this one, as with every other knife I've got from Ganzo, I had to extend the sharpening choil out some. And I don't know if I quite got it far enough out, but I do believe our sharpened edge is pretty flat there. So moving on along, back to that weight issue. This thing is 4.87 ounces. So getting close to 5 ounces for a blade length of only 3.6. So it's kind of a chunky one, but chunky can be beautiful. Frankie keeps reminding us of that. There is the good. As I talked about in the G739 video, this bar here for the lock mechanism has been extended by what I read is about 0.5 millimeter. Doesn't really sound like much, but wow, does it make a difference. That 0.5 millimeter is huge. It really does a lot to make this lock mechanism easier to use. And you know, I took this bar out and put it in one of the other Ganzo knives and put the other lock bar in this one or the G739. I'm not sure which one it was. And it's the lock bar that makes the difference. They haven't narrowed the scales or anything. It's that 0.5 millimeter or so that makes the difference. But anyhow, it works really, really well. It's one of the few that the handle shape, and this is something to consider whenever you're looking at this style of knife, or any style of knife, but especially something that's got an axis lock, a button lock, a bolt lock, a ball lock, any type of lock you're going to actuate in this area with a pinched grip or with one finger or whatever. You know, in your right hand, you've got the pocket clip to get a hold of. Makes dealing with the lock pretty easy. Put it over in your left hand, you ain't got anything to get a hold of down here. So you need something, some sort of shape right here to get into the palm of your hand to actuate that lock whenever you're pulling back so that it doesn't just slide out of your hand. And that's one thing that this shape here does a good job of. It stops your hand and it stops the knife whenever you pull back, allowing you to flip that knife around and close it. So anyhow, the lamination, like I said, on this one did not turn out quite as well. There's another spot here, there's another spot right here around the pocket clip where the lamination got a little out of whack. But overall it's alright. And it's not Spyderco grippy. In fact, it's technically kind of slick. But I've used both of these knives, the 739 and the 745, and I haven't felt like I was at a loss for grip on the knife, no matter what I was doing. Because it, see, there you can hear it. It's smooth, but it's not slick. Anyhow, one more look at those carbon fiber scales. So, there she is, the G745 CF. And these CF model knives that have come about here recently are a major step forward for Ganzo. They're listening to us. They're doing the things that they're seeing on YouTube that people are complaining about. They're starting to fix them. We've got some more Ganzos coming sometime in the next couple of weeks, and they're doing even more with those. So, you know, I want to tell you to skip on the Ganzo knives, but I'm not going to. If you are looking for a heavier, hard use knife, the Ganzos are pretty good. The 440C they're putting in them, like we talked about on the 739 video, pretty darn good. The actions on them now, I mean, still not Benchmade Griptilian smooth, but it's just as smooth as some of the other Benchmades, and works really good. And like I've said before, I'm not going to defend Benchmade or any of these other companies anymore. Whenever Ganzo first hit the scene and started gaining some traction, my first thought was, well, they're kind of loosely copying everybody's designs, and I wish Ganzo would give us some designs that are their own. I really do. You know, they're getting to that point where they could do that, and I think they could do well. But we have a bunch of US-based and European-based knife makers that are not defending their copyrights. They're not defending their trademarks. And if they're not going to do it, I'm not going to do it for them. And Ganzo's taking advantage of that, and in turn, for budget, semi-hard use knives, they're giving us some pretty darn good stuff now. This 745 CF is really kind of a very nice knife. So if you're looking for a good hard use knife on the cheap, something that you can take out and, you know, beat up and not worry about too much, the Ganzo is the thing to get. You know, there are better things out there that aren't too far from this price point. Like if you can find a Rat 2, a Rat 1 in D2, you know, it's about the same size and weight of these things, of the majority of the Ganzo line anyhow. And yes, it's a better knife. But it doesn't have the convenience of this lock system. And, you know, it costs twice as much. Now, twice as much in this case is kind of a odd thing, because we're talking about $17, $18 versus $32, $35. So, you know, we're down at that lower end where, yeah, it's twice as expensive, but it's, you know, it's all relative. But if you're in one of those countries or places in the world where that Rat or some of those other knives are just ludicrously expensive, then these Ganzo knives are getting very good. Anyhow, guys, I really appreciate you stopping by and hanging out with me. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't watch that last giveaway video, we're giving a bunch of stuff away over the next few months, so you're going to want to get subscribed, and you're going to want to be watching those videos, because all those freebies are packed inside the videos. I'm not doing any giveaway video. So anyhow, you guys have a great day, and I'll see you next time.